about that. I heard you in a past YouTube video say that you have like over 130 members and stuff now. If I were to jump into something like that, do you think that I would benefit a lot from it with there being that much people in there? Like, would I get a chance for
Yes,
my voice to be heard?
absolutely. So the reality is that yes, we do have I think at this moment we have 133 members, but the reality is every session we have about 25 to 35 members that show up. So it's not, because a lot of people work, a lot of people might not be able to make it to that specific night. So that's why we have an archive as well. And I've been reorganizing it too to make it easier to find videos, etc. But but yes, so it's not like 100 people every session.
Okay.
It is very intimate. Sometimes there's 10 or 15 people. Sometimes there's 40 people. But we usually don't at this. Now, I'm not assuming like if we had 233 people, would there be 50, 60, 70 people in a meeting? Yes, possibly. I don't. But at this point, you know what I mean? If, like I said, we don't go over. Usually we don't go over 30.
Okay.
And it's well worth it. Plus, we do breakout groups, where you're in a group of 4 and you guys work 3 or 4 and you work on scripts and we do all kinds of different. So yes, it's still very intimate. And if it ever gets to a point where it doesn't, we add more, we just add more sessions to break up so people, you know what I mean, can go to different times so it's not all piling in. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But that's the positive thing. Yeah. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we just did. Well, I was gonna say all this tonight, so we're pre jumping the gun, but
okay,
we added some stuff, so we're gonna talk about this tonight, and there's a special offer tonight too.
Okay,
Can I weigh in on this just a little bit?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm fairly new, just starting. I've been part-time for a couple years and really done well. I've devoured everything Anthony has put out a few times. The thing about the elite group that I love is that I'll get in there. I'll have my little pad of paper with my list of questions, and I just go down the list. Somebody else has asked it. Somebody else has asked it. So so if you've got questions with 20 people in a group like that, everybody's kind of having the same issues a lot of times, and so there have been times where I've just gotten on there and just soaked in what was going on, and all my questions got answered. So it's really amazing. And then I go back. What's nice is those are all archived, and so I can just go back and listen to those things. And oh yeah, I remember I had this question. I know they talked about this back here. Click into one of the archive things, and there's my question. So it's great stuff.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Nice to meet you, Hoover.
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see, it's 7:48. I'm assuming we're gonna have
The reason I ask about that, Anthony, by the way, is because I am one person who just loves to talk and engage with people. I mean, like I said, I've been in Toastmasters for 5+ years.
Right.
And ever since I moved on, I've been kind of looking for a new group to become a part of, to meet new people, talk with people. And that's up my alley with what I want to learn. So
I've been considering it. So it's a good place to be to be in. Yes, sir.
I always tell my folks now or anybody who gives me a problem about talking too much, I say, hey, I've been awarded and paid to speak. So I love to talk.
That's funny. Yeah. Hey, Don, how you doing?
Good. I've had the experience where people have paid me not to talk. So that's similar to what you're doing, but yeah, they go, hey, would you shut the heck up, and we'll give you money to be quiet.
Nice to meet you, Don.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Where are you from?
I am from the United States, here in Michigan.
Oh, that's an awful place. Where in Michigan?
Oh, thanks. Now you're making me want to move.
Where in Michigan?
No, I'm around the Fenton area.
Fenton?
Fenton, yeah, Fenton.
Okay. I grew up in Detroit. I can diss Michigan only because I grew up in downriver Detroit, and my wife's a U of M grad, and I went to Wayne State down in downtown Detroit, if you're familiar. So yes, I still have relatives in Michigan, so I love Michigan, even if I am a smart aleck occasionally and pretend I can diss it. So it's a killer place to grow up, great place to live. So I still have cousins in the area and uncles and a lot of family there. So anyway, yeah.
So
How long you been?
are you still in Michigan, or are you?
No, I moved when I was 21 to LA to, work to play music and record and stuff like that. So
All right. Okay.
I've been
Cool.
I've been out of Michigan longer than you've been alive, and I don't mean to no disrespect there. Hats off
None
to you for
taken.
being on the younger side. Yeah, I've been here. I'm actually I got here almost September. It was in September, and it would have been 1981. So I'm 40 years as of this month in LA. So yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
So so I didn't hear the starting story in terms of what you're doing in voiceover these days.
Well, I'm taking a turn in my business now. I've been struggling because I'm under 18 and stuff. I've been struggling with getting on sites and just working on figuring out how to get hired and stuff like that. I've done work. I've gotten work off of Fiverr, ACX, and
Cool.
stuff like that. But now I'm moving my business towards the public domain work, so I can take public domain books,
Sure.
turn them into my own book, and then create audiobooks and stuff and sell them. So that way there's nothing stopping me because of my age, and I can just
Sure.
get out there, start getting books out there. And I plan on eventually using social media and stuff to start marketing. And that way I can start getting some assets and stuff like that and just still keep doing what I love to do.
Awesome. The older crew could learn a lot from your attitude. So hats off to you.
Well,
Love
thank you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah. People go, oh, I can't do this for whatever. Now, we all have a different. Sometimes, people, well, I have a family. It's like, yeah, okay, I have 5 kids. I mean, or whatever. I'll have an excuse at every age, and we all have a different challenge. So hats off to you. I love it. I think it's great. And
Well, thank you, sir.
public
That means a
domains,
lot.
you can publish. If you publish a variation on a book, then you can ACX will allow you to, voice that book as well. So a lot of people, there is a Facebook group for people that are doing public domain books, so you'll want to find that as well.
Ooh, thank you for that.
I've done one. I did a book, a Baptist book that was rather old that I wanted to do, and so that was my journey into that, and it seems to be working out really well. So it's a pretty cool thing. Don, I just wanted to jump in. Donnie, you guys, I got your course. I'm going through it for the second time. I am stunned, gentlemen. The intimacy that I have with this DAW from your teaching is just enlightening. I mean, before it was just push the right buttons, but you guys taking me through that so that I know why things are working. Wonderful. So, I appreciate it. It's really good.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's awesome to hear. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I'm just a total side note. I thought none of you people would be here. So I was going to be early, and you all beat me. So hats off to you.
Yeah.
And I actually threw Donnie will tell you, I'm a nut about sipping stuff. I've got usually tea with some stuff. Yep, exactly. Just like Jaden's doing there. And yeah, Donnie's got his water there. So
Way to go.
See? Well, but what I did, yeah, everyone else has it, right? So what I did was I come down and I think, oh, I'm early, so I'll just sign on so that I'll be here. But I took my drink and set it in the freezer, which I like to do sometimes before I start. So I'm gonna go run up and grab my drink for just a second, so I'll be back. I didn't think anybody would be here.
So rude. So rude.
So I'll be back in a minute. So when you see me disappear here, it's just going to get my drink. I did have my salted almonds here from Trader Joe's, and my this is for old people.
Yeah,
but
you're
really
really
good.
dating yourself there.
Yeah, pitted prunes.
Oh. Yeah.
No, I like dried fruit, and it's just what happened to be what was in the cupboard there. So I'm gonna go get my drink, and then so I'll be back in a minute.
All right, we'll see you in a minute.
Sweet.
Worf from Star Trek says that prunes truly a warrior's drink. So that's prunes are good for you.
I have seen that some companies have just chosen to call them dried plums, which I think is smart. I think if you're going to brand them, I think that's a smart rebrand for prunes. I think prunes has sort of a negative connotation at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Trader Joe's the other day, and they're selling these new golden berries, they call them. And then I look at the small print on the package, and they're really gooseberries. But they figured out, whatever company it is that harvests and packages these berries, they figured out that if we call them golden berries, because they are a golden color, well, they'll sell a lot better than gooseberries. So food rebranding is always interesting to me.
Nice to meet you, Donnie.
Yeah, hey Jaden, nice to meet you too.
Are you a seller on Fiverr?
I am, yeah.
I figured you look very familiar. Yeah, I came across your gigs a few times when I was looking to upgrade mine.
Nice.
Nice to finally meet you, sir.
Yeah, you too. I do have kind of a distinctive head, so I tend to stand out a bit.
Well, that's good, because then you get more work that way.
I hope so. Maybe it works out in my favor, yeah.
Yeah.
It does make the hair easy to care for.
Oh, I know. I hate messing with hair. I always cut it short. Yeah. I mean, I love, like, in the actors, how they have all this long hair. It looks beautiful, but I can't deal with that stuff. It's such a pain.
Yeah, my hairline started to recede in my mid-20s, and it just got worse and worse. And yeah, by my early 30s, I was just like, I'm done. It's all going. Just shave it. Although I do strangely have a little bit of I do get slightly annoyed when people refer to me as bald, because I will say at that point, like, I'm not bald. I shave my head. Like, I do still have some hair if I wanted to. I just choose not to. So there is a difference.
Well, I think you have the right mindset about it all.
Yeah. It's a choice. So.
Indeed.
I like you've dressed very professionally for this too, Jay.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Me?
You gotta dress for success.
Yeah. Yes, Don, you look fabulous too. Don't worry.
Talking about lack of hair, huh?
Oh, you just hopped in, eh?
That's right. Hello. Well, we've got Susan. Hello, Susan.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hey, Susan.
That was a couple of our coaches. Of course, you guys have been talking to Don and Donnie. And we have Susan here, and we have moi. We have another coach. She's not quite here yet, but I'm sure she will be here because she's working hard, I'm sure. How was class tonight, Susan?
It was good. David was there. Heath was there. So, y'all, how was it? You learned something?
Absolutely. I always do.
Good deal. Well, we've got a few more minutes. It was good to see everybody. Come on in. I think I went and got hopefully enough room in the Zoom. Apparently we had 80 to 100 people coming, so maybe they'll pop in.
Oh.
They won't. But anyways, we'll be starting off here real soon. Good to see everybody. That's right. Let's see, who do we have in here? We've got we've got people. We've got Adam. What's up, Adam? Good to have you.
Yeah, that's me. All right.
Hey, Adam.
I like that. We got David. What's up, my man? Good to see you as always.
Good to be seen.
Caleb, what's up, man? Good to have you.
Thanks.
We got Tom with the cool cars. Tom. Belinda. It's always good to see you. Simon, what's up? We've got Bob, Heath, Linda. Hello. Charles, what's up? Let's see. We got George. The gentleman without the name in front of his picture. Rich. There we go. It's like, who's that guy? It's Rich. What's up, Rich? Michelle. Let's see. Alonzo. We got Eric.
You're here.
M. Jones. Hello, M. Jones. What's your first name? Who's M. Jones? Linda. Sure.
Let's guess. Let's guess what M stands for.
Is it Maria?
No, it's actually Melinda as well.
I was gonna say Melinda.
But I'm spelled Melinda with an I.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, like so you're like Linda instead of Linda.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
Melinda.
So, looks like we just had Angela come in.
Oh,
There's
sweet.
Angela. Oh, she popped on and off. She is our other coach. There she is. Yay. Hi, Angela.
Hello.
Hello. Well, welcome, everybody. As people come in, I will keep trying to add them as they come in because they got to be added. Welcome everybody. So happy you guys can make it. You know, tonight was an idea actually that Don had, I think, you know, the idea is that listen, you know, oh, that's my phone saying it's time for our meeting. So the idea was for us to the coaches of the Elite Academy, which is a weekly group that we created that we meet Monday through Thursday, where we do live sessions like this Monday through Thursday to coach voice actors, to have an open session where we could just open it for free and people could come in and bring their questions and, you know, thoughts about voiceover in general. And we, the coaches, would come in and see if we could answer your questions. I don't think I do this nearly enough. I mean, I've done Fiverr Friday for a while, but, you know, that's been less tiring. So it's nice to get into the evening and open it up for more questions, because I think a lot of times that's very limiting to just one narrow subject. So as we go through tonight, there'll be some questions. Donny is going to be helping us out with the questions. There's a chat box. If you guys look in your bottom left, there's a chat section, so you can always add questions in the chat, as well as raising your hand, which I believe, how do you raise your hand, Susan? How do you raise your hand?
There's like a little icon at the bottom. Oh, wait. I don't see it, but you know what? If you, reactions, there's like a little happy face with a plus. You just click on that and there's a raise hand.
Cool. Awesome. So with that being said, I suppose we could kick it off just to introduce ourselves a little bit of the coaches. My name is Anthony. I just want to say hi, Anthony. My name is Anthony, and
hi, Anthony.
Thank you. Hopefully, some of you, most of you know me. Been doing voiceover for a couple of years now. You know, I left. I was working full time, and I saw a video and thought, hey, this would be a great opportunity for me to be an audiobook narrator. And from there, you know, I started with my mic in Hobo Fort and built my business, and here we are today. Skip a bunch of toughness in between. But that's me. Most of you know me, so I'll shut up and let you meet everybody else. Well, why don't we start off? Susan, why don't we start with you? Just tell us about you.
My name is Susan Fouche. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and I have been a full-time voice actor since 2013. And I, like Anthony, I started out in audiobooks, and my goal was to like win Audi awards and dominate. And then I got this client off of Upwork to do e-learning, and I was like, I love this. This is actually what I think I was meant to do. So I do mostly e-learning, and I made a small change to my career last 2020, and that was I got on Fiverr, and that was a game changer too. So I love my job. It's honestly the best thing ever. I could never have imagined that I would be so happy, you know, working. And I mean, this is just a wonderful job for me. I think this is what my purpose is, and
yeah,
that's it.
Good deal. I like
Amen.
Yes. All right, Angela, why don't you start? You're next.
All right, I'm Angela Clark. I am a business owner. I've owned several businesses through my adult life. A few years back, I decided that I wanted to start and build a voiceover business, and so I stalked Anthony for a while. He didn't know. And I am a total student of his system. And a year into working with Anthony, I've grown on all of the platforms that he taught me to get onto. And I've had great success. It's been a blast. I'm loving it.
Awesome. Thank you. How about Don?
Sure. Let's see. My son Donny dragged me into voiceover approximately 8 years ago. I've been recording since I've been about 19. Worked with a Cut Master Records. Worked with at a studio back in Detroit when I was a young guy. Came out to LA. Been here 40 years. and been around a lot of actors and performers. And while I'm kind of known as a tech guy, I've spent most of my life in the performance area. My wife has done 70 audiobooks and roughly 6,500 voiceover projects. And I have listened to every stinking one of those things. I have the worst husband training in the world, where I listen to a voiceover and I hear want noise, want noise. So when I listen to my wife, I have to be careful, because I actually have to pay attention to what she's saying, not just listen for the technical aspects. Donnie got us started in voiceover because he knew his mom had a theater background and I had a recording background. So I've been a student of recording for decades, but I did old school stuff in big recording studio type setups, and then transitioned to the digital age about 8 years ago. And I've been fortunate enough to teach, I'm in the thousands now, of people to get the most out of their tech for voiceover. I'm a marginal voiceover guy who get a lot of smart girl, dumb guy spots with my wife, and you'll kind of guess which part I play. And I'm very good at the dumb guy voiceover genre. It's my specialty.
Well, thank you, Don. I appreciate it. Yes. Donnie?
I could snarkily chime in as the son and say that he's been method acting that role for years, but I would never say that. I am Donny Barnes. I've been in voiceover since 2013. I was a full-time sports broadcaster. I worked for a minor league baseball team for a number of years out of college, and I'd always wanted to get into voiceovers, and I just didn't really know how. Finally, in 2013, we started doing some very bad audiobooks through ACX. My dad had to proof every one of those for me, but we kind of slowly, gradually figured some stuff out over a few years, working late nights, and then similar to Angela and Susan's story, about 5 years ago, I got on Fiverr, and obviously you don't have to be on Fiverr to be successful in voiceover. We're not saying that, but just in 2016, I got on Fiverr and started getting business right away, and that really changed things for me as well and allowed me to go full-time into voiceover while still doing sports broadcasting on the side, which had always been my dream, to not basically have to do all the front office grunt work that was involved with working for a minor league baseball team year-round and just be able to show up for the broadcasts. So I get to do that now. I'm currently in Nebraska, about to move to Florida in about a month, and really excited to be here tonight with you all.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So those are the people, our panel tonight for you guys. So the whole idea tonight is if you any questions that you have, anything from, hey, is this right for me? Or, hey, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? If you have an audition that you would like to send, just email that to me, and I can play and we can listen to it to critique it. But any general questions that you have for voiceover, from your DAW to voice acting to marketing to, business systems, anything like that, those are the 4 pillars that we focus on in our classes. We'd love to answer them for you and get a conversation going. So you can chime, like I said, type it down into the chat, or you can raise your hand. I'm trying to go because we've definitely got an awesome bunch of people. So I'm trying to see if I can see everybody. All right. So questions, anything like that, that you might have, that you might have brought. I'm going to keep looking at my email to see if anybody sends me some auditions. Ooh, some people did send me some auditions. Okay, cool. Donnie's supposed to be, sorry, my bad, Donnie.
Yeah, so I'll do my best to keep an eye for raised hands on your screens, and we are like 3 screens deep on people right now. So I'll keep scrolling through, and if it takes me a little while to get to you, forgive me. I'll try to go in the order that I see the hands, and we'll do our best. So I think Jaden had his hand raised first. So Jaden?
Yes, I did. So I haven't done much research into this, so I figured I'd just ask you guys right away first. So since I'm going down the public domain route and I'm going to be recording audiobooks and selling them, the main part of my income is going to be when people buy them. So my plan is to market through social media. And my question to you is, what should be the best, strategy? I don't want to just jump out and say, hey, buy this, please buy it. And I don't want to spam people. What's like an accurate mindset and technique I can use to get my books in front of people so that they can benefit from them, and I as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'm sure there could be many different answers. I mean, I'll start and say the cool thing about what you're doing, right, is that it lends itself to creating all sorts of content right, that you can put out in little snippets, little places here or there. You know, we talked about YouTube, right, using that as a base, but even little, you know, minute or less snippets of what you're doing on social media platforms, on different, you know, different things. Also, what's really cool is getting mysteries. You know, I mean, do what Charles Dickens did the best, right? Was, you know, he published a story, right, in the newspaper, and it would be a cliffhanger, right? And then people they wait for the next one. And he sold a bunch of these little pamphlets of stories. And that's what made Charles Dickens very famous, right? I mean, and you could do the same thing, you know? So, you know, podcasts, all these different things really lend itself to the audio experience. And honestly, I think in today's world, there's not a lot of people or enough people who are offering more story-like content through the platforms. I mean, like regular stories, as opposed to, you know, whenever the pendulum swings one way, it's going to swing back the other. Meaning, like right now, it's so real. You know, everything is real life, real life. Well, you know, we love stories still. I mean, the audiobook industry is still the largest part of voiceover for a reason. Okay, so that's a massive, you know, so I think that you could do all sorts of things with the content, right, on social, and then driving that traffic to where you want it to go. You know what I mean? Whether you want it to go purchase something, whether you've got a deal, whether you have a website. The reality is you're probably going to want to create a hub, right? A place where people can go to purchase your books or to get the Jaden experience. Okay, whatever that experience is. Okay, and if you're going to go down that route too, I mean, it's probably something that you want to create. And this goes for everybody, no matter what you're doing in voiceover. You want to create something that is going to be unique, and it's not just our voices. Because I would venture to say there's 60 people in this meeting right now. I would venture to say that all of us have something unique to offer with our voice. Okay, but there's thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of voice actors who are fantastic in voiceover. There's got to be more than just that. Yes, we have to get good at our craft. Absolutely. And that is a staple of what we do. But there's more to it than that. There's the experience in what you're offering. So I think you have a lot. It's so I think it's fantastic if you have the patience to do all the audio, because it's a lot of audio and a lot of time. But if you have that patience, man, it could be pretty cool. That's my answer. I don't know if any other coaches want to chime in.
Yeah, I would say, Jaden, you really, really market yourself. You're going to need to build a following. And it sounds like a blast. Like, be on every social media platform and be building that following, because people will listen to your audiobooks because they like you, because they're interested in you.
Cool. I think just for the sake of brevity, because I talk so much, I will try not to talk as much. We will stop, and Donnie, you just push us along, push me along. Hope that answers that to your question, Jaden. We'll have to move on to.
Indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think people do want to hear from you, Anthony, so feel free to chime in anytime.
Indeed.
Well, thank you, Donnie.
This is your event.
Thank you.
I don't think people are going to complain. I think Heath had his hand raised next. And by the way, I do see all of your questions that you're typing in chat. Appreciate that. We will get to as many of those as we can. I want to get to the few people that had their hands raised first. So Heath, go ahead.
My question is radio imaging. Where's some good information to find about that? I haven't heard too much about that. I had a gig that I had to cancel this morning because I had no idea what to do.
Cool. I think why don't we, Don? Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's a tougher one in that radio imaging can range anything from Sunday, all the way down to you're doing spots that are very specialist in terms of you need to have effects in place, you need to have voices in place, you need to pick what style of radio imaging, everything from very gentle spa-like type things to things that are super intense. So that's like saying I want to paint. I can do house painting, I can paint canvas, I can paint oil painting. I mean, it's a huge thing. So what radio imaging are you looking at? Promo spots. So kind of that's a high level skill for people. It's a specialty, and it's something, offline, if you want to talk about some of it, get a hold of me. But you have to know your DAW really well, because you're going to be applying special effects to virtually everything. There's almost no radio imaging that's just straight raw voiceover. It's always produced stuff because I need to sound a certain way. I need to match the radio station. I think of it as the promo spots, where you're promoting a show that's on Sundays. If you're doing the imaging, you're creating the impression. If you watch Netflix and they're going to do a promo spot, they're going to have a feel that they have, and you need to match that feel. So it's kind of a deep subject in this context, but it's definitely a specialty. If you can get good at it, then there's a lot of revenue in it, but it is definitely, there's a lot more to it than most voiceover.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thanks, Heath. Gary had his hand raised, and then we'll go to Doug after that.
Well, I appreciate you, sir, for calling upon me. Anyway, I have a question. A lot of people say when you submit an audition, do 2 or 3 takes. What is the general idea that the person is going to listen past the first take?
I think it just kind of depends on what it is. I mean, if it's just a quick little, audition and your takes are very different, then it's appropriate. However, if it's like, an audiobook, then it's not appropriate.
I'll say like for Voice Realm or something like that, or Voices 1, 2, 3 or whatever, you're doing an audition and, you just put that slate down, put down 3 takes. How often are they going to hear them?
I don't know. I mean, it's up to the person who's listening to the audition.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a reason why you wouldn't just do 1 take?
No, that's what I typically do is 1 take, but I've heard often people say, put down 2 or 3 takes so they have a variety to listen to.
So, I'm sorry. So I was just going to say, cause I'm usually the one who's saying that. So I'll chime in why. So the reality is it's like a hedging your bets. Okay. Cause the reality is that most of the time, and we all know this, if we worked online for any amount of time, we get next to no direction. Okay. And the direction we do get can go any different way. So the idea is, and this is why, like, when I do this, I make sure that this is not on a long piece. Right? Because the likelihood is that they're not going to listen to a long something. And I always make sure that I put in the description that when I send a piece, because I'm trying to give multiple takes so that in case they don't like the first one, they may like the second one and they may like the third one. Okay. And I always put down in the description though, hey, thank you very much for this opportunity. I went ahead and did 3 different takes for you to listen to choose the one you liked. I hope we get to work together. Sincerely, Anthony. Something like that. I always make sure I put that down because you're right. It is a concern that they won't even realize there's other takes on there. But that's why I always write it down in the description. So I would, do a second hedge and write it in your description. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, good question.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to Doug next, and then we'll get to Caleb's written question from the chat. So Doug, go ahead. Oh, Doug, make sure you're unmuting yourself. I think you're still muted right now. Happens to the best of us. There we go.
Hello, test. Something I've been thinking about recently. With the advent now of AI and synthesized voices, has anybody done any thinking about when it comes to specifying pricing, like say a total buyout, about putting an exclusion that exempts use for AI library building purposes?
I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually pretty cool. I mean, I think for me, and then let everybody else talk real quick, the harsh truth, and you guys know me, I'm more of like a truth type of person. The harsh truth is a lot of things that we do, even rights, unless we got a team of people behind us that are going to track down people if they screw us over. I mean, and I'm not saying we won't, but the reality is we do the best we can, have them sign whatever we want, but it does become difficult to mitigate some of these things, right? Because the websites and stuff we work on, the reality is they don't, they're more like connectors, right? They don't want to have to deal with the back end. At the same time, I personally think that's a great idea. I mean, I do like that idea. And I do think that they need to if someone's going to use your voice without your permission, that is a legal issue, which, they've been fighting that woman I know in Canada with TikTok. And I mean, that was a big story. And I don't know if that's still in the courts or whatever, but I mean, so yeah, I do think that doesn't hurt to say it. I think that's actually very clever. And I didn't even think about something like that because I guess I'm not expecting them to be taking my voice without my permission. But in this day and age, I guess, you can't be too sure of anything. But that's a good question. And I don't think it doesn't hurt anything to say, hey, I do not, my voice right now, it's not authorized for any other use than this particular voiceover. I mean, I think that's a good thing to do.
I happened to think about that after reading a bunch of stuff about that special about Anthony Bourdain, where
I read that too. That was insane.
Where, they didn't even get permission to use what cobbled together speech patterns they got to create the dialogue that they used.
Yeah, I think they got permission from his, I don't know if it was his wife or his girlfriend or something. I thought that was what they claimed that they got permission from, but I don't know if she had legal right to do, I can't remember what it was, but you're right. It was definitely I read that too. And I was like, wow, that was a big deal. But the difference is too, and you have to think is they had a lot of, how many videos, how many recorded stuff they had of him. I mean, in order to get a really accurate thing of your voice, they need a lot. If you've actually gone and tried it out, because, I'm an idiot, so I actually go and try these things out to see what they are. You got to record hours and hours and hours for it actually to begin to get somewhat close. Otherwise, it's not, I'm not saying it doesn't happen because they do, but yeah, I read that too. And that did freak me out a little bit, I'll be honest. But I just do think that we all realize AI is not going to take over the industry. It's just another competitor. Right? It might be a cheaper competitor. It might be a faster competitor, but said the same thing about Fiverr and the website. Just think of it as another competitor. Okay. That's what I think of it as, because it's not going to, just like they said, AI was going to take over the movie industry. I don't know if you all remember that. They're going to get rid of the actors in 2 years and there's going to be just CGI. It's just going to be, no, I mean, yes, there is, but they're never going to get rid of actors, just like they're never going to get rid of us. So it is something that I think that's actually a pretty cool thing to ask. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. Very good. Let's go to Caleb's question in chat, and then Simon, Adam, Charles, we'll get to you guys as well. Caleb asked in chat, what is a realistic goal for new sellers on Fiverr? You sometimes hear or read things where people say things like, I got 7 sales in my first week. Caleb says, I've gotten 1 sale in 3 to 4 weeks, so it makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong and it can be discouraging. But is it realistic to expect things to be really slow at first? I'll start with this and then we'll go to Anthony. Caleb, yeah, it does take time on Fiverr, especially now. There's a lot of competition. But even when I got on it 5.5 years ago, it took me a couple weeks to get my first sale. I think I maybe had 3 or 4 in my first month. So it started out with little drips, and then eventually you hit on one client who starts ordering from you repeatedly, and then it kind of boosts you in the algorithm. But one of the things that I did was I took a course on how to set up your Fiverr profile, and that really helped me because it gave me a good foundation. And I would really recommend that you and anybody else who are getting on Fiverr now, or if you've been on Fiverr and you're not seeing a lot of business, that you do that. Anthony has a great course that I highly recommend. He also does one-on-ones where you can show him your actual profile and he'll take you through and show you some things that you need to improve. Because Fiverr it's a giant search engine. That's what it is at its heart. And if you're not optimized to be found, then you're not going to be found as much and you're not going to get as much business. You're not going to have those opportunities. So that would be my recommendation, to get with somebody like Anthony. Have him go through and see what can be done to really set up your profile, to make sure you're doing those foundational, fundamental things to set up your profile for success. Anthony, anything else on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you, Donny. I got to pay you for that. So no, I think I always joke, it took me a year to make $800, and most of that $800 was from a person who hired me to do a bunch of evil Halloween voiceovers. Like, that was really, and it probably wasn't for anything other than just something they were having fun doing. So, honestly, I used to get so frustrated when I saw, because by the way, in our group, in A VO's Journey, people post earnings. Well, I've seen that before. And I remember when I was first starting and people posted earnings, they're not like our group. No, I don't know any other group that posts as freely as we do. But I do recall being like, if someone said, hey, I did this, I'd be like, God, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not, what am I doing that's different than everybody else? And I think in the end, I realized a couple things. One, I realized that, you know what it is, that my race is going to be different than everybody else's. I mean, it will be different. And the second thing is, the only thing I can control is consistency and getting better over time. But also, it is good to seek out information that you don't have. I mean, the reality is you work with people, you pay for coaching. The point of the academy is to try to help people, move quicker through things that they don't know. So I know, like, for me, I remember it took me about a year and a half of frustration and then my account basically dying to sit down on my floor for an entire summer. And I told myself I wasn't moving until I figured this out. And that's what launched my voiceover career, because I decided I was going to do everything. I was going to do everything they told me not to do. I was going to contact people through Fiverr and ask them to get work, which is a big no-no, but I did it anyways. I was going to do things and I was, not try to get kicked off. I was going to do things like do split testing, where I was split testing words. Voiceover is one word, voiceover is two words, audiobook is one word, audiobook is two words, and do different gigs. I did all of this stuff. By the way, don't do that first method. You will get kicked off. The point I'm trying to make is that I did all of this stuff to try to figure out. And in that time, I realized that really in the end was just me learning more about making myself presentable. But getting back to your question, sorry, I get off topic, is the fact that, listen, you're going to be fine. Don't worry. There's all those people. I coached this one gentleman. I don't think he's here tonight, but if he is, kudos to him. This first month, he had like $2,000 worth of, so like I'm coaching this guy. I'm like, dude, what are you doing that you're making this much money in your first month on Fiverr? And he was like, he hit a good pocket. He was offering like 350 words for like $5. And he got passed around in this e-learning circle. And then he was working, like 6 to 8 hours a day just recording audio. Cause to make a couple $1,000s at $5 a pop, 350 words, you're going to work a lot. And that's why I eventually raised my prices. Anyways, I hope that helps. I got to stop. But yeah, but don't sweat it. You're doing fine.
And I will throw in one thing. Donny and his mom both were the very, very slow starters to get the top rated seller. We would just kind of look around and go, this is crazy. That lady's a top rated seller. That guy's a top rated seller. And Donny and his mom were head and shoulders stronger in terms of experience and voicing and a lot of things they were doing. But there were people that were there a year before they got there and even more. And we were frustrated about it, but everyone's journey is going to be different, and it's okay. What you do have to do is find and gut it out to the point where you get some consistent repeat buyers, because the repeat buyers all of a sudden change your life. And you may go through 50 people at $5, $10, $20 a pop. And as soon as Donny and his mom at separate times hit a couple repeat buyers that started bringing in just a regular amount, everything changes, because the algorithm recognizes that you have repeat buyers. It rewards that and shows you to other people. You got to gut it out. And the gentleman who was making $2,000 the first month, hats off to him. But that's like me going out and saying, yeah, I'm going to be a model. And I get some stupid thing that pays me a bunch. I don't deserve it. It's just lucky the first time. Sometimes it wasn't skill if I got that gig. So anyway, got to get your first one.
Yeah, and I'm so happy it took me years to make it, because I didn't, I'm glad I wasn't one of those people who just randomly make. I mean, I had to work, just like the rest of us.
Well, we were not happy about it, but we talk about Fiverr. We were like sleep deprived, because in the beginning, the other thing we would do, Donny did it, his mom did it, I did it. It's like, if an order came in at 11 o'clock at night, dumb old us would go, crap, let's do it. And we'd put it out the same night, like an hour after they ordered sometimes, and just stay up extra late. And we did dumb things like that, quote unquote, where we just said, whatever, we didn't worry about it. We didn't make a lot of money, but we put things out faster than anybody. And there's a momentum that comes from just gutting it out and doing more. And those people that get a quick hit, hats off to them. That wasn't us. Oh, that one wasn't Donny. I mean, it was slow when we did. And there's a lot more competition these days, but just know this. Most of those people are not in a group like this.
Yes.
And they're going to drop out within the next 6 months because they're not getting the information they need to be consistent. They may make a couple grand the first month. It's hard to be consistent after that unless they're in a group like this learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. Anytime you're in an industry that's very competitive, like voiceover, and somebody tries to discourage you by saying, "Oh, that's so competitive," just remind yourself, yeah, it may be, but the vast majority of those people will not do the things that it takes to stick around more than a few months. And if you're willing to do those things, you will outlast them eventually.
Yes.
Let's go to Adam next. He's had his hand raised for a while, and then Simon and Charles will get to you after Adam. Go ahead, Adam.
Hello. My question might be kind of stupid, but I was the voice of Six Flags theme parks for about 3 years, and I had a Emmy award-winning engineer and a whole entertainment team with satellites all over the 11 parks that would take care of everything for me. All I'd have to do is show up in a vocal booth. My question is, I've just started getting gigs on Fiverr. How do I produce copyright or broadcast rights and actually give them to them? Is there a button you push? How do you give somebody a copyright for the product you just made for them?
Yeah, I mean, Susan.
I mean, I was gonna say it's not typical. I've only been asked that once, for some kind of documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you talking about through Fiverr, Adam? Are you talking about on specific platforms or standalone work that you're doing directly with somebody?
Right now, Fiverr.
Yeah, Fiverr, technically, if you can offer commercial and full broadcast rights extras on your gig. Certainly recommend that you do that. And when buyers select that per Fiverr's terms of service, they are granted those rights. You can read through Fiverr. If you Google Fiverr terms of service, you can read through how they parse it out legally. They're not as comprehensive as we would like them to be, but they work. And as Susan said, very few buyers will ever ask for further clarification on them. A couple will occasionally, and you might have to hash that out with them.
So it's done automatically then. They once the product is delivered, they also get the other things that they requested, like copyrights. That just it's given to them.
It's assumed, yeah. And
Okay.
Fiverr basically says if you don't offer them as orderable extras on your gig, then they're included automatically. If you have them as extras on your gig and they select them, then they're included because they selected them. So that's how it's supposed to work in theory.
Okay, thank you, Donnie. That really answers my question.
Sure, no problem. Let's see. Simon, I know you had your hand raised earlier. Simon Sesvo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Did you still want to ask a question, Simon? I think you're muted.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
And that's Simon Says VO, as in Simon Says game. Lived it my whole life. Sorry.
Very clever.
So the copyright thing, I have something that just as a side note, I got asked that question today for the very first time. I'm going to try and share this printable document I got from someone when I bought a logo for a company I work with. So I'll try and share that in a minute. And it is a printable version of a copyright an agreement, basically.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I just recently went to level 2 after about a year and just under a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to have the option to do 20 gigs on my page. How specific should I get when it comes to each of those gigs? Because I think that I do a lot of business stuff, as I'm sure a lot of people do. So I think that my range at the moment is quite limited when it comes to having 20 gigs. I don't want to put up 20 gigs that say something different, but actually all sound the same. How do I go about doing that?
Well, I'll take the first stab at this. So the reality is remember, there's always three things. First thing is you have to be found, hands down. No matter what you do, you got to be found first, right? After you're found, you got to be enticing enough to be able to be clicked on, okay? Meaning the presentation, your photo, your taglines, your price. And the third thing, then we get to your demo and your copy. But that first part of being found is really key. And the reality is as more and more people pile into the voiceover industry, more and more options, people, when you have so many options, what do people do? They search for specialists, right? They search for specialities. The key here is that I know you said you don't want to have a bunch of different things that all sound the same. And I'm not telling, I wouldn't say necessarily to do that, but the reality is that you might put up a gig and you put up another gig that's similar, but they're different keywords, and people find they're searching for that keyword, and then they find you, right? And then all of a sudden, okay, oh, well, hey, that's great. They found you. Even though it's the same, they wouldn't have found you unless you had a different keyword. So the idea is that, yes, we want to show the diversity that you have, or the range. And, Fiverr itself has up to 10 purposes at this point, which purposes is what they call basically their categories. All right. They added the 10th recently, which was meditation. Okay. But the reality is that if you go through that right off the bat and make sure you have one of each of those, remember, now they've got like about 20 tones. So now you go into the tones, right? Your conversational. There's all the different comedic. There's all sorts of different types. You know what I mean? Nurturing, sexy, all the different types of stuff they have in there. Okay. So that's another way for you to add those things. And this is a great opportunity for you to look at your stuff and say, okay, here's something I'm going to work on. You know what I mean? And not to we're plugging the academy again, but the reality is Susan does voice acting, right? The reality is that this is also, like, for me, I'm always working on what's a new type of style I can do. You know what I mean? Just to add to the offerings that you have. So yeah, so just think of it, no matter what, everybody, no matter what happens, if you take away anything about this, you've got to be found. Or no matter how good you are, it doesn't matter. No one will ever know you exist unless you are found somehow.
Right.
Okay, that should be our number one job, is to be found. And
it's definitely on the rise. Gigs. I can feel it. I'm getting more and more orders, but they're all small orders. Okay. So I'll just keep going, I guess.
It's like a snowball. It'll build up and build up and build up, and then all of a sudden people will be like, "Wow, you're an overnight success."
So can I just ask?
Overnight.
Can I ask one other question? As far as pricing goes, I've tried raising my prices, and that didn't go very well. I went for probably 8 months where it literally tailed off to nothing. So I brought it back to 5, but I lowered the amount of words for that 5, and that worked for me. And yet, I've won about $2,200 worth of business over 75 gigs, and I get stuck in giving them everything, and I'm not necessarily upselling them or charging them extra. It's not all the time, but quite often I want to give a great product like everybody does, but I'm not chasing the extra $5 for this, $5 for that. How wrong am
I? You're not wrong necessarily, but I do recommend gig extras are the primary way that you make money long term on Fiverr, besides doing great work and getting a bunch of repeat buyers. But I've always looked at Fiverr as basically like owning a restaurant. It's basically a restaurant model of business, and this is what a lot of older, more old school voiceover people don't quite understand about Fiverr when they rail about Fiverr's supposedly low pricing. They don't realize that it's a totally different business model. So if I walk into a restaurant, in theory, I could just order a Diet Coke for $1.99, but a restaurant offers cheap sodas and cheap appetizers because they know that the vast majority of people who come in there, if they've structured the restaurant right and they make good food, they're going to order a lot more than just a Diet Coke, right? And especially at a restaurant, if they can get you to order drinks and appetizers and then stay for dessert, that's where they make their real margin. And on Fiverr, where you make your real margin is in your gig extras. And so you really want to look around at successful sellers that you know are making good money on Fiverr and look at what kind of extras they're offering and how they structure them. because that is how you take a $5 or a $10 order and turn it into a $50 or a $75 or a $100 order, really for no extra work. And when you start figuring that out and buyers start finding you who have no problem checking those extras, that's where Fiverr starts to get really fun.
And one thing that Donny did early on that I thought was brilliant, his base level, he had a certain number of words. So let's just say he had 200 words at one point for $5. There was a point where he kept that part the same, but if you went, there was a gig extra for your next 100 words, that was $10. So like whatever is a base level was, there was the add-on, and they were not the same price. You do not need to do $5 for 200 words and then $5 for the next 200 words. So in other words, people would find him and they would like the initial, but then when they added up doing 1,000 words, it wasn't just $5 times 200 times 5. Every time once he went past the first offering, those gig extras, those were at a much higher rate and a much lower word count. And that worked brilliantly for him and his mom and some other people over time.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to try that.
Every now and then somebody gets upset by that. I've had like 2 people complain over 5 years, but the vast majority of people have no issue with it. And if they like what you're selling and they're happy with your service, and I always over-deliver, and I typically deliver quickly. I include a little video greeting now that was something Susan actually taught me a few months ago, and I've had great success with that. It's a nice little extra touch point that buyers really appreciate. So you learn those little customer service extras that really make a customer feel special while they're still paying you, right? It's not like you're giving them stuff for free. And so once you get that client retention and you build those repeat customers, it's really fun.
So that greeting is personal to that particular client. It's not a generic one that you've got.
Yeah, well, if you have a webcam, like we all do, and you have a way of recording a quick little video, I'm talking maybe 20 or 30 seconds. I have in my gig extras, too, where people have to ideally put their name. Some people decline to do that, but most do. So I can address them by name. I can see where they are from their Fiverr profile. So it's like, hi, Stephen, hope things are great in England. Thanks so much for your order. I'm delivering it to you early as a thank you for picking me. Let me know if you need anything else. Hope we get to work together again. Really quick, simple.
Hey, just real quick, I don't mean to cut everybody off. I would love to hear from some ladies. So far I've only heard, and that's fine. You don't have to, but we've got a lot of awesome ladies in the group too. And I'd love to hear from you guys. So if you got questions and stuff, please feel free to speak up. Okay. Cause I'd love to hear from some of the ladies as well. Sorry. I wanted to say that. And Angela, I know Angela was trying to say, do you have something, Angela?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Simon, you said you're having trouble figuring out some different gigs to put up there. I was in the same boat. I never pictured myself doing some of the things that I do now, but just like producer tags, I didn't even know what they were. They just sounded like a really cool thing. And now I do them all the time. And character voices, never pictured myself doing that. That turned into probably my most profitable gigs on Fiverr are character voices. Meditations, I did pre-recorded meditations. I just recorded like 20 of them and I sell them. People buy, I don't know why, but people buy them all the time. And that was like a one and done. I did that, but I never pictured myself doing that. Just being willing to try things and see what's inside of you, because there's a lot in there.
Yeah, I feel calm and frantic all at the same time right now.
All right. Actually, and I mean to cut you off again, but I did get, I've got a couple. So I've got one from Linda. We have who emailed me for a spot for us to listen to. So real quick, I want to listen to this audition spot. And I hope I said is it Deseret, I guess, Industries. Where's Linda? Linda, are you here? Hey, Linda. Okay, it says in this spot we're playing off of a treasure map concept. First half of the script is written intentionally like a run-on sentence, like a college-age girl telling a story and her friend without taking a breath, explaining a thread of things that are connected in her mind. The second half kind of resolve. All right, so let's go through this. Let's just listen and see what it sounds like. Make sure everybody can hear it.
X marks the spot.
Can everybody hear that pretty good?
Yes.
Okay.
You know that map in every treasure hunt movie that leads the hero on his journey to a trove of lost riches only to find out the real treasure was really hidden inside his heart? At Deseret Industries, there is always something amazing waiting to be found, but the real treasures are the people you help with your donations and purchases and the good you do along the way. Discover more at deseretindustries.org/treasures, found here. X marks the spot.
Okay, so this is a second take, right?
You know, that map in every treasure hunt movie that leads the hero on his journey to a trove of lost riches only to find out that the real treasure was really hidden inside his heart? At Deseret Industries, there is always something amazing waiting to be found. But the real treasures are the people you help with your donations and purchases and the good you do along the way. Discover more at deseretindustries.org/treasures, found here.
Cool. Well, first off, thank you so much. Very nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you did well. Yeah, we can quickly chime in. So I really liked your audition. I thought it was a really nice job. Anything with any read that we have, right? Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end, whether they've written it well or not, right? So you could tell like the beginning, middle, and the end on that. But what I was saying with that is like the beginning part, right? It's like setting the stage, right? Setting the dream. And then we go into, this company. And then at the end, it's like, hey, this is where you need to go. I love the first part, even though, you've explained it, it makes a lot of sense. As we move into the second part, I would challenge you to, offer a couple of different ways of telling it to me, right? More like from the standpoint of, okay, hey, listen, this is where we are. And now I'm going to just express this to you. I'm just going to tell it to you, not sell me. Because it's interesting. The first part, you really are telling me this story. And I think it probably happened out of necessity because you were trying to do it all in one breath and you were doing all this stuff, right? Because you weren't as concerned with how it necessarily sounded, and it sounded really well. But the challenge that a lot of us run into, and Lord knows I ran into it a lot, is that I tried to sell stuff instead of just telling it. All right. Instead of just telling it to me, I try to sell it. So at the end, you could tell, or in the halfway point, you could definitely tell there is a change, right? You make a change, which is great. But we go from this dynamic voice over to kind of like, now it's the company that sounds a little less dynamic. You know what I mean? So, so in that sense, we don't want the company to sound like it's less interesting than what you just did. Okay. I love the contrast. Contrast is good, but I would play with that second half. I like the first half. So the second half I would play with. Let me answer some of the other coaches. Susan, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I thought it was really good too. I think I wish I had the script in front of me because there was one just to kind of add to what Anthony was saying, you want to have that kind of difference when you're introducing the product. And so did you have 2 takes? Were those 2 takes?
Yeah, there were. And in the specs, it was asking, just to do it, just play around with it and do a couple of takes if you wanted to.
Okay, so the first take and the second take to me sounded really similar. One thing that you can do to make yourself sound different is change your body around, and part of that is how close you are to your microphone and how far away you are from your microphone. So like in the first take, however you did it, and then in the second take, maybe if you just got really close to your mic and just kind of like just whispered it. Just like however crazy that felt, just try it anyway, but when you do the 2 takes, you always want them to you want them to be different, remarkably different. Like you could say like, one is I'm excited, one is enticing,
Got it.
If that makes
Great
sense.
idea. Thank you. Really helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks for being willing to put yourself out there with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That takes a lot of guts.
Well, thanks to you both. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was good. You have a nice voice.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I was going to say, a lovely voice. Yep.
Oh, thanks.
I want to get to Bonnie's question in chat. Bonnie says, "Lady here." Thank you, Bonnie. Repeating, she had a question. She's just now getting on Upwork. She was curious, Anthony or anyone else, your experience with the project section versus proposals on Upwork. Where are you getting most of your work on Upwork specifically?
Yeah, so I'll start, but I will put the caveat out there that I don't do as much on Upwork as I used to. So Upwork does have two sections, right? There's the section where people post jobs and you can send out a proposal to do those jobs. And then they've tried to jump on the Fiverr train like all the other websites and create their gig section, right? Or whatever they're calling it, projects or whatever they call it. And, it's literally just like Fiverr. I had very high hopes for that. And, maybe one day it will grow in some senses. I don't think it's growing as much. It is still by far hands down the proposals, I think, that get the majority of the work. But, the reality is just like anything else. If they're allowing you to create a page, if it's a separate page, you want to put up as many gigs or projects as you can. But I would say proposals still are far outpacing anything you're getting from the project section. I don't know if anybody else has any other experiences.
I do. Anthony, I just got an email from a project success coach on Upwork.
It's just, they have Seller Plus, Seller Success. Mm-hmm. I swear they've hired the same person that worked for Fiverr. But anyways, go ahead. That's really interesting. I didn't know they had those. So what did they do?
So it's a brand new program. They said I qualified and would I be interested? So absolutely, of course. They're just emailing me back and forth at the moment, and they're starting out with, she emailed me today and let me know that they will be reviewing all of my projects and giving me advice from there, and did I have any questions for them. So I sent them a list of questions, but
that's awesome.
They're coming along.
So they're really trying to make changes. I know they added recently the video stuff, so you could actually put on there some voiceovers where before they couldn't. So that's good. So good deal. That's cool. Keep us posted on that. I'd be interested to see how that happens. Yeah, what happens with that. Good question.
Great. Charles has had his hand raised for a while. Charles, thanks for your patience. Go ahead. Don't think we're hearing Charles yet. You might have to try a different microphone input on your computer. While we're waiting for that, we'll come back to you, Charles. Don't worry. Rich was up next. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, hi. So I'm a relatively new seller on Fiverr. I've been on for about 5 months and still at level 0. And I feel like I'm just a little bit low in terms of impressions. Across 6 gigs, I'm getting about 500 per week. And I've been doing a lot of the stuff that Anthony's recommending, optimizing the gig descriptions and titles, making sure that the tags are in sync, and trying different experiments with that.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some experimenting with pricing as well, and I appreciate some of the feedback on pricing ideas. But are there some non-obvious things that I should be looking at to drive that up? I was wondering, for example, should I be doing stuff on TikTok or something like that, putting up something and throwing in a link to my gigs, or even I've seen a couple of people doing like Facebook advertising and and linking those ads to gigs. How effective is that versus some of the optimization and so on?
I think that's I think it's a great question and such a big question, right? Because I want to say this, in all honesty, the reality is, everybody, it's just going to get to a point where you've done what you can do on Fiverr for now. I'm not saying that you have, Rich, but the reality is you could be doing everything right, and it's going to take time, you know what I mean, in order for you to get a job. And then a time goes by, you get another job. I mean, I've worked with people, and there are people in this group who I've worked with for a year, or so, and it didn't get kicked off for them, and it took them a long time, and then slowly it picked up there does come a time where you have to look at other platforms too. That's why kind of like, you know, we have like the 10 steps and the academy that focuses on a lot of platforms, not just one, so that there's not, you know, because Fiverr is fantastic, but Fiverr is just one place. And I always say Fiverr giveth and Fiverr can take it away, just like anything else, right? They can turn off the spigot just like that. And everything's going great. And all of a sudden you go to the back and then you can't get any work. It's happened to all of us. So my recommendation is do everything you can on that platform and then move to the next platform and do the same thing, and move to the next platform and do the same thing. And as you grow by getting better, replace your audio, update your audio, and go back and do the same thing. But the idea here is to get as much out in front of as many people as you can, but you can't control the algorithm in the end, right? So now if you wanted someone to like you, if you wanted, you know, someone to look at it, that's possible, because maybe you're missing something when it comes to your setup or something. But the reality is I worked with a lot of people now, and I can tell you that there does come a point where you've done everything you can do, and you got to keep grinding. And I've seen some people who are super successful on Upwork, and they're okay successful on Fiverr, or they're, you know what I mean? They're not, Fiverr is not, it doesn't mean that just because if you're not super successful on Fiverr, you can't be successful somewhere else. You know, like, for example, Voice Realm and Voices.com. Some people hate Voice Realm, and that's totally cool. You know what I mean? And some people hate, I mean, we know lots of people hate Fiverr, and lots of people hate all these different platforms. But the reality is Voice, you know, Voices and Voice 123, I've gotten so much more work on Voice Realm. It's not even a joke compared to all the other pay-to-play sites put together. Right? You know, I mean, I get a couple jobs a month, you know, and you know, it's where you can get work. I mean, I would like to get work on Voices or Voice 123, right? But I get work on this other platform, so it makes more sense to me to then focus on where I'm getting work. Does that make sense? I think
that makes a lot of sense.
Hardest thing for all of us is where to focus our time and energy.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a long horizon, so starting, you know, as I'm waiting, I'm using that time I'm working on some new demos, working on my my thumbnail, and you know, there's plenty of stuff that I can be doing. I've been trying out for Bunny Studio and so on. So I'll take a look at some of those others, and just, I guess, be patient, but kind of keep managing that time and, you know, applying that in multiple.
Oh, that is awesome. And listen, I want to say so. We're not ending or anything like that, but just so we know, because it's coming up to 9, and I think we kind of said that it was going to be an hour. I'm going to stay for as long as you all want to, but I did want to let you know real quick, and I'm going to put down in the chat. This is where I shamelessly promote the Academy to you all. We're offering the first month at 50% off. All right, I'm going to put a link down here. So if you're interested in that, there's the link. And you know, all of us coach on a weekly basis. These are the things that we do, you know, and it really is, I think, been an exciting time. We've been doing this for about a month, and we've had there's some people here that are in the Academy, and they're, you know, really doing great. If you can't make some of the things, we have archives. I'm working on organizing them even better. But, you know, we and all our sessions are live. We have about between 20 to 35 people that attend the sessions. So it's not right now maxed, you know, it's not like 100 and some people are coming every session. We have breakout sessions and things like that. We have private Facebook group. It's really a great community, and we're adding more and more stuff. So I just wanted to, you know, put that out there for you guys. If you're interested, use that link. Okay. All right. More questions. Sorry about that. I just had to put that in there because I know we were coming up at 9.
No, there's nothing to apologize for. Highly recommend the Academy, not just because Don and I teach a class, and Don primarily teaches. I mainly moderate VO Tech every Tuesday night, but I learned a lot from Anthony's Academy that helped me grow my Fiverr account and other things, so definitely recommended. I want to actually tee up Don for a question here regarding tech, and obviously we don't have time to get into a lot of detailed nuances about voiceover tech tonight, but Arthur says he just finished his first audiobook. He says, it took me over 30 hours to produce 3.5 finished hours of audio. He says, I hear 5 to 6 hours per finished hour is not uncommon. He says, my time must come down. And yeah, Arthur, that is 30 hours to produce 3.5 finished hours. That's a lot of work. Those of us who started out doing audiobooks have been there. Don, I know you've been there. Tell us a little bit about, briefly, about your journey to get that much shorter.
I like how you added the briefly there. First book I did, it took me over 10 and a half hours per finished hour because I was a nutcase and did everything by hand and didn't have the tools and didn't know what I was doing and didn't know what the standards were and didn't know. I mean, you just don't know what you don't know. I already knew a lot about recording, but that didn't mean I knew anything about audiobooks. The people that have been doing it a while, if Donnie's mom, we're down in the 3.5 to 4 hours or better for every finished hour. So part of it is, first off, you have to be good at voicing, and that takes some time. That's just, you need to do a lot of it. Second, you need to have your tech act together and your punch and roll working well. Donnie's cranking out voiceovers where he doesn't even listen to him when he's done because he's doing the punch and roll at such a level. But that comes from doing tens of thousands of those things and listening to thousands of them to the point where he knows what works and what doesn't. But it's a process. So you're normal. I know you're special probably. I don't know you at all yet. But you're normal in terms of 10 hours for every 1 hour of finish is where about 80% of the people start. And then you get your processes down. And there's a whole bunch of techniques and tools that can make your life 10 times easier and allow you to make some money doing audiobooks. And that's, I will say, audiobooks are tougher than voiceover in my experience because you're going to end up with naked voice. Every voiceover we do, I always love because I know they're going to have a background of music or some ambience in the background, and I can hide all sorts of stuff if I need to. But audiobooks, people listen to you for hours and hours and hours. And if I have a defect in my performance or in my voice or in my tech, people will notice it more in an audiobook. So it's a tougher gig to do very, very well, but don't stress over it. Join us on Tuesdays. Ask questions in the groups. Your process could be so much better. And if you have punch and roll working well, right there, that'll cut off about somewhere between 30 to 70% of your editing once you get that process in the can and working for you over and over again. So your starting's normal.
Good
And I want to say something about something that really helped me decrease my hours in audiobooks. And it's something that has been brought up before tonight, and that is repeat clients. When you are doing audiobooks, if you can find authors, just go after authors who have series, then once you are on that 5th book of that series or that 3rd book of that series, you got it because you know the characters, you know how it's going to go, you know the author's writing, and it goes by so quick. I know some of my authors, I was able to crank them out in like 3 hours, and I had a proofer, and I mean, it was just like, it was clockwork. I was just a machine. So there are ways to quicken it, and you know, just from a marketing standpoint, if you can get repeat clients, even better, because you don't have to audition for those. They just come.
Mm-hmm.
So Lacey asked, where can I learn more about how to edit after recording? How do I learn what kind of mastering chain, settings for each plugin in the chain that works best for my home studio? Lacey, you might need to work with someone one-on-one regarding your specific setup and situation. Obviously, we do have a class in the Academy where we talk about tech topics every Tuesday. Our first class, which is archived, you can go back and watch it anytime you want once you're in the Academy. We talked about setting up your recording space, for example. We talked about microphones and what you need to know about different types of microphones last week. So if you're looking to learn some general basic concepts of audio production, we go over that on Tuesday nights. And if you need somebody to look at you one-on-one in your setup, we can do that as well. Hoover has had his hand raised. Hoover, go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. Mine is an etiquette question, and I have looked, can't find that any of you all have made an etiquette video, but I'm talking about like within the elite group. I feel like a leech sometimes because I just have questions after questions and really no kind of guide as to how much contact is okay, how much personal email, you know, what do I pay for, what you know, what's okay. And so I'm wondering if actually this is maybe even a question, maybe Anthony can come out with a, you know, with a video that says here's kind of a standard, because I don't want to put anybody into a position where they have to go, all right, look, Hoover, I'm tired of hearing from you. I'd like to not overstay my welcome. Does that make sense?
That's
And does
right.
anybody
It's like,
have
look,
any-
Hoover, stop showing up at my front door, man.
Yeah.
We gotta have some boundaries.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's a good question. You sound like a plant too. So let me tell you about how to do the academy. No, that's good. No, it's a good question. So I think that, all of us, and I'll speak for myself, but I know the coaches here, we're all dedicated to helping you out. This is our passion. So you contact me anytime. Now, whether I at that moment can get back to you, you know what I mean? That might be a different challenge. And we all are, I'm on the East Coast. I know Don is on the West Coast. I know Susan and Donnie, they're like in the middle. There's people in the middle. So like we're all over. So there's time issues as well. But I think I know for all of us, if you have a question, you're more than welcome to email us. You're more than welcome to put it in you might have a question for Don that's specifically for him, or you might have a question for Susan or Angela or me. You know what I mean? So it does make a lot of sense. You're more than welcome to just email us as well. And also other people. So the cool thing about I know in a VO's Journey Facebook, you all are here. I will be honest, I keep that group pretty like you can't post any links, Shaman, I'm in there deleting people's links. And I'm sure someone's like, God, that darn guy, for God's sake, stop deleting my stuff. I get it. And I do appreciate you guys, bearing with me, with that. But part of also creating the private elite group was that there was no boundaries on what we post and what we say and how to help each other. If there is a course somewhere else that works, you know what I mean? I will try not to be offended, but I won't delete it. You know what I mean? Like it's not, because we're all here to help each other. And clearly if you're in the academy, you're part of the academy. It's about helping each other. So the reality is the whole point of that group is to help us no matter where you are. I think a big problem in some parts of the VO community is that, it's okay to have allegiances, but I think that can often hurt your success if it's like it's only one way or the highway. Do you know what I mean? And the idea here is there's many different ways. And like we said in the caveat in the beginning, where it's like, hey, you don't have to be on Fiverr to be successful. And that's absolutely true. I was talking to someone the other day, and a woman was asking me, hey, can I be a part of the group? I don't really want to be on Fiverr, but I want to be a part of the group. I said, absolutely. You don't have, we're, So just to answer your question, absolutely. I'll let you know if it's going overboard. I don't know what you would do that would go overboard. But the point about in the private group, so when you join, you get to be a part of our private Facebook group as well. And in that group, that is about sharing about links and places that you can get more help and things like that. Whereas I know in the regular Facebook group, I'm kind of like delete a lot, just because I don't know. Has any of you been around? There's also more reasons for that too, because it can get kind of crazy with that many people in our group. But I hope that answers your question. Great question. You know what I mean? That group our group academy is about helping you succeed, no matter where that is, just helping you succeed. So good question.
Very good. By the way, Chelsea, I've seen your question in chat. I know yours was one of the first ones. I'm kind of saving yours for the last question we do tonight. So, Anthony, when you're ready for our last question, I think Chelsea's earlier question will be a good one to end on tonight. So just let me know when you want me to tee.
Okay, yeah.
Charles is back on his phone to ask his question now, I believe. Charles, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
I got a new computer, and I don't know why, but Zoom is the only one out of all the ones that has an issue, and I can't figure it out. So that's what I was kind of running into. My bad.
I hear you.
That's all right.
First of all, I want to say, Anthony, and all the people on the panel, thank you for having this tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you all for showing up. I'm so excited. I'm so glad. I was like, I hope more than 2 people or one. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm so happy that you guys did. So thank you, Charles, and thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Okay, so my question is, I got a 416, and I love it to death. But there's sometimes when I really, really like the sound of I had a KSM 30, Shure KSM 32, and I love that mic just because that warm feeling. I don't know, it just feels something's different. And sometimes, like, if you have a mic that you like if you have 2 mics that you like, how I don't have both of them hooked up in here, and it's a pain in the neck to try to redo and adjust the arm again every time. Is there something that you guys do or anybody does that helps you, or do you just stick with the mic that you're using and I'm going to learn how to use that one the best, and hopefully that's what everybody likes to hear?
I think that's a good one for Don, if Don would like to jump in there.
So if it's me, I'm going to find I have my go-to mic. I actually have two of them on my desk, so I have two stands. You can't see either of them. One's down below and one's down below that. So I can switch between them at any point, and my interface has two inputs. And so if you're going to keep two, you want to find a way to have both of them up and operational in the same spot, and you need another arm, you need another stand, you need to put them on your desk. But most of the time, one of them will become your favorite. Donnie has one of the 416s too. Remember,
that's what I use.
Yeah, tons of people have those. They're awesome mics. Just note, they tend to be a little harsher. They originally were not designed for voiceover. They became famous in the early days, partially because of the proximity effect. And guys like their low end. They think they sound sexier. And sexy is an attribute.
That's right.
Well, the reality is we get hired more. You get hired more for low voice.
And you do, although what's interesting is also you get hired because you think people want that low voice and you perform well on that. So hats off to you. I mean, seriously, that sort of thing can create a benefit. Go to Home Depot and pretend you're in a tux. I'm in my just whatever. But mentally, someone with a 416 will very often think of themselves a certain way because they're voicing on that mic. You actually can voice on your other mic and be pretty darn close to where somebody else does not know you're not on a 416. But there is a mental aspect of this whole business and performing that when you're on something that you like, when you're dressed to the nines and you feel good about your performance, that definitely helps. But if you're going to have both of them, and you got to switch back and forth, you have to find a setup where you can have them, because switching back and forth not only is a pain, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Because all right, I'm going to do a voiceover. It's going to take, I've got a 5-minute voiceover to do. I'm going to change my whole setup and put it back. You either get both of them or just stick with one for a while. And then when you're ready, get another mic stand, get another setup, get an interface that has two inputs, because they're going to be totally different settings for that you already know that. Not to ton anything. Okay. So just get yourself to rethink it and just mentally say, I'm going to stick with my favorite between the two. It'll be a compromise, but also put on a tux, go in on the mic, your non-416, and voice it like it's a 416. And if you'll volume match them, this is one thing people are not doing often enough. Volume match them. Oh, give them to another engineer, both of them, and say, hey, and then have them send them back to you so that you don't know which is which. If they're volume match them, you'll be amazed at some of the things you'll hear. So talk to me about it offline too, if you ever have a question about that. And Hoover, you were asking about questions. If you bought the academy, then of course all the instructors there are going, okay, this guy's investing in his business. I'll just tell you what Anthony doesn't, in a sense. If somebody's serious about this thing, I'll talk to anybody 24/7 if I'm not doing something else. Okay. I mean, I'm a nutcase about it. So is Anthony. So is Don. I mean, I know it's a matter of, are you investing in yourself and are you doing your homework? If you are not, and you're calling me all the time, I've got one person right now that sent me like 7 samples. I asked them to do something after the first one. I said, send me this. They sent me something. It's like, that is not raw. I mean, and they kept not listening to my requests for, okay, I would like to help you do this. They didn't do it. And it took me 7 samples to get them to where I think what they've sent me this morning is what they should have sent me on the second one. But they're not in my groups. They've never bought anything from me. They're not doing their homework. So that's annoying. That's where it becomes annoying if somebody's not doing their part. If somebody's excited about this, man, I'm a nut. I'll talk to you all day about it. If you're dumb enough to ask me a question, I'm dumb enough to sit and answer over and over again. I mean, I love doing this. Anthony's the same way. Donnie's passionate about it. Susan, you have some passionate people around here. So as long as you're doing your part, then it's a different animal. But I can get irritated with somebody who constantly asks questions, but then never takes my advice or they've never bought anything. And I don't mean to, you know, I mean, the first half dozen questions I'm fine with, but if they ask every day and then it's like, Anthony's like, I got the academy to do. I could have had that question answered for you 2 weeks ago, but you now instead are sending Anthony emails. He already answered it in a bunch of videos he did, and that person is not going to his videos and look at his back catalog. So then you do your part. We're nutcases about it. All right. So I answered 2 questions there, I hope.
We'll let it slide this one time.
Okay. Thank you. And also, hey, it's a tech thing. I'm just holding down my space bar to
You're muted, Don. Did you just mute yourself on purpose? Was that an object lesson? Yeah, you're muted. So we can't hear you right now. Good job. All right.
Oh, the irony.
Let's move along. Oh, all right, you're back. What's up?
He didn't do his homework. I told him 5 times about the. I told you about the space bar.
Space bar supposed to unmute.
There.
Not muted. Not muted. It'll do the opposite too.
All right, who's next? Who do we got next? Yeah.
All right, Alonzo. Alonzo has his hand raised. Are you there, Alonzo?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. First time using this to talk to other people, but first and foremost, thanks for having me here. Thanks for answering all these questions for everybody. My thing is, I know there's a lot of, like, I'm big on character work because I love character voices. Ever since I was little, that's always been voiceover. It's been, like, that's always been what's drawn me to it. I know you can get character work through, like, miscellaneous things. I actually do have a Fiverr page that's dedicated to it. And I've done some audio books where character voices were involved. And I've been involved in a few audio dramas. But what I've always had an issue with was, and I'm not sure if it's just an insecurity or what, but I've always wondered, can it be primarily character work that I do that I'm able to, I guess, establish myself in? And if so, how would I go about marketing myself to, you know, put myself in front of where I need to be in order to get this character work that I claim that I want? Like, I know audio dramas and video games and, like, all that stuff is out there, but I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to marketing.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think I know Angela does a lot of character work. There's also some other people in the group tonight who do a lot of character work, honestly, through a lot of just consistently getting themselves out there. And, you know, but, you know, Angela, maybe you talk a little bit about the character work and stuff.
Sure. I've gotten a lot of character work on Fiverr and Upwork. On Upwork, it's me usually searching out and auditioning for things. On Fiverr, I have several different character-based gigs. And
okay.
Just put them out there. Put out different samples and, you know, see what comes back. Are you into video games? Have you tried that? Or
I would love to do video games, but it just comes back to it. I'm like, okay, as much as I love it, like, who do I look out for? Who do I send what to? Where do I market? That's where I begin to get overwhelmed when it comes to things like that. I'm just like, okay, there's companies out there, of course, like Sony and whatnot, but I don't even know if that's who I'd be marketing to if I'm talking about video games. I say that mainly because I guess at that point, because I'm rambling right now, but I guess at that point it comes down to research.
So Alonzo, the very first thing I did is I wanted to be a voice actor in World of Warcraft. So I sent an email to customer support on Blizzard asking them if I could be a voice actor. Needless to say, they were like, sir, I don't think this is the place that you need to be sending this email to. But, you know, I totally understand what you just mentioned. I mean, because when I first started, I didn't know anything. I was sending emails to everybody, right? And we only usually get emails to the customer support. I think the reality is there's a lot of different opportunities in the character world. There's very high-end stuff, right, where these big companies will hire studios who will hire voice actors through agencies in LA and New York City. And then but a lot of them that's switching as well. But then there's tons of work, just like Angela was saying, through these other websites. And as indie stuff continues to grow and become more popular, it's going, the reality is as it grows and grows, will you be established enough at that point to be at the forefront of that takeoff? Does that make sense? So getting yourself as many places as you can, with a portfolio that you build from scratch. You know what I mean? When we don't have customers doing it, we got to do it ourselves. That's how you can get yourself positioned to be ready. I always say, are you ready? Like if you got 25 jobs tomorrow, are you ready to handle that much? A lot of people are like, oh, actually, no, I couldn't handle that much. Right. If I got that, well, you know what I mean? You got to be able to handle the stuff before you get it.
Yeah.
That's something to think about as well. So I would say, yeah, absolutely. What your demo's like, how, where are your characters, what are the different things you offer? And once you get that, let's start getting them up places. Let's start building a website, niche down that website. If you want to do character, right, do, Alonzo, the character guy, whatever name you want to, you know what I mean? Start to create that persona of what you want to do. And actually, I find that niching yourself is a lot easier way to actually market, because when you're trying to market everything, that's very difficult. But marketing one specific thing, you can become something, you can become familiar. And that's where, because I tell you, no matter what you do, I mean, I'm buying a new place, and like, I'm not kidding you guys. I was buying a new place, a new house, and the mortgage person's on there. He's like, hey man, I don't mean to be weird, but I've always thought voiceover was cool. And I saw you. I'm like, my wife was looking at me, it was like the mortgage guy. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I saw you on YouTube and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Right. I mean, like people are going to look you up. You know what I mean? No matter what, wherever you are. So if you're nowhere, I'm not saying that means it, but it just, it's missed opportunities.
Yeah.
So the more places you can get, even without getting work to start, that's like the precursor of the work you got to do.
Okay.
Alonzo, do you have some gigs on Fiverr already?
Yeah, I do actually.
Do you have a Halloween voice?
I don't. I was thinking about doing more targeted voiceover stuff like that. I guess
I know it's a great place to start. I mean, Halloween's just coming up. A lot of people are going to be hiring for haunted houses and all kinds of Halloween stuff. Just have fun with it. Just have fun with that. And then, a great place to start is just seasonal voices, Christmas voice.
Absolutely.
So,
Great. Santa, Mrs. Claus. Mrs. Claus actually gets a lot of work. Elves get a lot of work, I mean, and during Christmas time. And Halloween voices are great. That's where I started with Halloween, scary Halloween.
And to repeat Anthony, he said niche down. If you don't, you can't do 400 characters to begin with and become famous for them.
Mm-hmm.
Pick your favorite and now put together 3 or 4 that showcase that. Get something established, and if that doesn't work, then pick your second favorite voice and start getting people to know, I'm the movie trailer guy.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to become famous as the dumb guy with a female male voice. I mean, Don can do dumb voices. That becomes a niche over time. Absolutely. When they're looking for a dumb guy.
Here's a perfect example. Here's a perfect example. Don. Sorry, Don. Here's a perfect example because you got it right in my head. Hagel. You all know Brent Allen Hagel? Or you may have, well, I don't know how long you've been following him, but many, 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 many years ago, right? He started off by literally doing every single day. He would post himself doing a practice movie trailer on Instagram. Day after day after day after day. I don't know if anybody was watching him, but he did it day after day after day. And he was doing it. He was getting a video, making it, putting it on there, and just recording himself in his booth doing it. And he built basically now his agency, the entire thing, by him basically just becoming popular by doing it day after day after day himself. You know what I mean? There's a million different ways you can get to the end goal. You know what I mean? But in the end, the question is, like I say, you got to get eyeballs on you.
Yeah. Okay.
Good job, man. And with all that being said, there's a lot of people who can help you with that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate what you guys have offered me so far. Thank you. It gives me some things to think about. So, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
More than I had coming into it.
That's awesome. Adam says he's the voice of Satan most of the time. You have good lighting for that too, Adam.
That's
so
good.
you've
That's
got
right.
the whole branding package together.
Thank you.
We'll have
Linda.
crazy things, right? Like a laugh.
Yeah.
Or something. Very nice. Good job, Adam.
All right,
Who's next?
Linda has her hand raised. Go ahead, Linda.
Linda.
Hi. I just had a question about leveraging LinkedIn a little bit more. I am a person who has had a career in HR. I did learning and development for over 10, 12 years now, but all of my LinkedIn is really focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
And how would I kind of transition that into using it for voiceover?
Good question. So there's a couple different things. First off, if you want to keep it the same, so the first thing you can do is start a new account. You can do that, or keep the same. But the reality is LinkedIn is such a different beast than everything else, because it is people on there, and you can even see, even when people try to post other stuff that's not business related, people get frustrated because they want to keep that platform business related. So the reason why I'm talking about that is because you need to understand, whatever you do going in there, it is a hard place to brand. I'm going to be honest. I try to do it. It's hard to brand yourself. If we are B2B businesses, right? So it's hard to brand ourselves on LinkedIn, right? So meaning like LinkedIn, if we're B2B, which we are, the very best thing to do is you need to use that platform as a great way to find specific people you are trying to target, like specific people in specific businesses. You're basically finding leads. So and if you're being part of HR, it's the same exact thing. I mean, you're looking for, producers, you're looking for casting directors, and all you got to do, depending on whether you have the premium account, is that you've got to, if you have the premium account, you've got searches, right? You can find these people, start to reach out to them, you know what I mean? Start building relationships. It's not easy. Right?
Linda, what do you want to get into? What kind of voiceover? What kind of genre?
So I mostly do lots of e-learning. That's where my background is in learning and development. So I've kind of settled into that niche right now, and that's what I'm most comfortable with.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, with all those contacts with learning and development with HR and I mean, gosh, that's a great way to get into e-learning.
Have you started about just simply by putting out that you're doing voiceover now?
Not on my LinkedIn, not yet.
Okay.
I have gone like my Fiverr, my e-learning, mostly my PowerPoint gig is probably my most popular one. Being able to voice over PowerPoints for a lot of e-learning items. But I haven't done anything with my LinkedIn yet. Like it's still, it has all my like job information in there, but for the last 6 months I've been dedicated to just voiceover. Like this is it, this is the job.
Well, maybe it's time to switch it over now, since you've got all these contacts, and just I mean, gosh, you may really capitalize on your skills.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably just time to switch it over.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
putting up things that relate to that industry. You do an e-learning HR thing and figure out how to create a 1-minute video that shows you voicing an HR related thing.
Mm-hmm.
They need videos for training. HR is always training people. You put up your version and put up, hey, I come from the HR world. This is a great way to onboard people into companies. Here's a checkout one. And start posting regularly things that would be interesting to the niche that you already come from, because those people would be interested in your ability to voice a video for HR. And so I would start with that, and I'd be doing it relentlessly.
That's awesome. Think of content in 3 ways. It's either educational, entertaining, or inspirational, all right, or a combination of those, okay? In this case, I love the idea of what Don just said about educational, about how your services can help the HR world based on your experiences. That's great. You know what I mean? Because you've got access to the very people who might be interested in working with you, but they need that leap. You know what I mean? They need that explanation. That's great advice, actually. Yeah. And you're right. The only but is, don't forget what Don said. It has to be consistent. Like it can't be just one, and this goes forever. You can't just post once or twice, because the likelihood is only a couple random 1 or 2 people will see it when you first start.
Yeah.
And Donnie does this very well, by the way. Donnie takes all our content, and LinkedIn is we kill it on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
find me on LinkedIn.
I primarily post on Don's account on LinkedIn. I got to get my own up to speed again, but yeah. We have
again. I like y'all's because y'all the way you post your stuff on there. It is a very because remember that platform is also serious. So when you if it's in the serious manner in some senses, and you guys your presentation when you post it is this like a serious educational type of setting where hey, this is what we're doing, this is how you do this, you know what I mean, and it makes a lot more sense as opposed to posting things like you would think would go on Instagram.
Right.
Different.
Yeah, we don't think of it as entertaining. It's all about trying to have something where they go, oh, that makes sense, and also trying to take first the other factor. If you haven't used LinkedIn for your business for the voiceover, note you probably have 3 to 6 months of doing it where you won't get any results. And if you're not going to be doing it, consistent about it for months, just to start, it isn't going to work. It just takes a while, and it takes some consistency. And Donnie's he's brilliant about posting virtually every day, if I remember right. At least 5 days a week.
We do 2 to 3 a week is what I shoot for. We probably could do more. I just I'm doing a lot of stuff. So, but yeah, and our stuff isn't necessarily meant to be entertaining, but that first line, that first sentence is really important as a hook. Like whatever text you're posting with a video, whatever text you're posting with some kind of image, maybe you want that first line to be something that hooks people. And again, that's something you get better at the more you do it. So you figure out what works and what your voice is on these platforms. We'll have one more question from Edwin, and then we will wrap up with, I believe it was Chelsea's question.
Yes.
So 2 more questions. Edwin, go ahead, sir.
All right. Thank you all so much. And thanks to all the coaches and Anthony. I love everything you all do.
Thank you, sir.
Going back to Alonzo, I got bold one time. I called the Cartoon Network, and they actually called me back. I didn't have no equipment, no nothing. And hence the reason why I'm here, because I want to try to prepare to get better so I could just go for it. So if you ever want that email to Cartoon Network, holler at me.
Awesome.
But anyway, I'm at a difficult place where I'm trying to balance my work life and what my ambitions and passion visions for voiceover. And, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm in the Temple of Doom, and the little guy with the headdresses around us just kind of whipping us through the day. And by the time I get ready to come back here and do what I really want to do for my passion that I think God puts into me, but I don't quite make the classes sometimes, or I don't get to ask the questions, and I'm overwhelmed because I'm trying to read the books, and I'm trying to just catch up and do everything. And you got the resources and everything, but the anxiety, some of the fear starts getting the better of you, of what you should be doing, just kind of shut down a little bit. But anyway, so how do you all handle that? How have you gotten past that step to kind of keeping that muscle memory, keeping you pushing forward, or emotional memory?
Doing it, just doing it. You just do it, and then I don't know, you rip off the Band-Aid, just do it, and just know, like, the first person you reach out to, like if you're doing like a cold call, just look at it like, is that what you're talking about, like cold calling?
Or are you talking about trying to get your schedule down?
Yeah, actually, before I got around to join the academy, I tried cold calling a little bit. I think I got that from you guys and some voice artists about cold calling. So I'm going to imply that into my marketing skills when I do get ready. But yeah, my main challenge is just dealing with kind of the time management and sometimes anxiety, a little bit of getting through that.
So I want to be open and honest with you, because this is the truth. It's gonna suck. I hate to say, I remember, I don't work now I do this full time, but I worked full time, and we all start there, and I know we all have different situations, but it sucked. And I'm not saying you have to work, because I really, the only time I had to work was like from 10 p.m. until however late I could stay up before I couldn't stay up anymore, and then get back up at 6. And I look back on it and I think to myself, I don't know if I could do it again. Do you know what I mean? Because at that time I was so I had to do something different, because I had this, I think at that moment, and I'm not saying everybody's there or we're all different places, but I had this like feeling in myself where it was like, I'm nervous, I'm worried about this, but the overwhelming feeling of I can't fail again to me personally was more. And I don't know how I got to that point. I was so fed up with myself personally. I don't maybe get personal with you, but that was kind of like what happened to me. So it was almost like a fire, because I put up my booth and took it down every night. I never, now don't think I'm some sort of like martyr, because I sucked at everything else I tried. I mean, honestly, right? And so this one thing was something I pushed, but it was, man, I don't know if you all heard that podcast that I made a while ago. I said it was the cost of being successful. And I think, I never forget this. Weekends, I know this sucked, but I stopped seeing my family very much. I stopped seeing, your family is a big part of this too, because your family, they have to go through it with us, and we have to give up. You got to give something before you can receive it. And, like my wife, I mean, I told this story, but this was one of the hardest things. I had to stop going to bed with my wife on time. Like when she would go to sleep, I couldn't go and sleep with her. I couldn't get in bed and sleep together. I had to stay up. So I would put her to bed, and it turned into this, thing where I was no longer, going to bed at the same time. And that was, something similar like that with your spouse changes your whole relationship. It can change things. And that was very difficult. In my mind, I knew that if I succeed, if I pushed myself hard enough, maybe down the road, I could do things like maybe offer my wife, because she always worked and supported us in a way. I mean, I worked, we both always worked, but she always, made a lot more money than I did and kind of supported me through all my craziness. Right. And I was like, I gotta support her, So, I mean, so there was a lot of things I had, so now my wife, I was able to bring my wife home. It was her decision, but we had the money, so she didn't have to work, but going back to that moment where the hell we went through to get to this moment, I honestly, I feel like I would lie to you if I told you there was an easier way to do it, because I don't think there is. Now, you might not be in a situation where you can go that much into it. In which case, my advice is that focus remains our biggest challenge, but also our biggest asset. Meaning, like, if you focus on the right things, you actually can get a lot done in a short period of time. But that's why when you're looking at, like, in the academy and stuff, picking the right things to focus. Like, for example, I talk about like the WIGs, or wildly important goals. Right? A lot of times we focus on so much, we forget to focus on the things that really matter, like getting work. Right? The few things, like there's really only a few things, like 2 or 3 things that we really must do in order to make money. The rest of the stuff are necessary evils that we have to do just because it's our, just because it's part of the business. But the big things that you should always do every single night is something where you are getting yourself out there, whether it's an audition, whether it's an email, whether it's putting up a gig, whether it's putting out samples, whether it's contacting someone, whatever. That is something you got to do every single night. Something when I started, I was obsessed with auditioning like 10 times a night. I was obsessed with it, and it paid off. Wasn't saying I was making a lot of money, but I was getting work. Does that make sense? So I'm sorry. I didn't, it's like, but I mean, I just remember it like it was yesterday, and it was a lot of work. And everybody that I've coached, and a lot of people here that are successful, they really have one thing in common, is that they do not give up. Like all the people here I've coached, they just keep going. They go through crappy times, they go through great times, but they don't stop. You know what I mean? So give yourself a break. I mean, don't beat yourself up about it. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. Just keep rocking it no matter what. And if you have a bad day, that's cool. Just brush it off and come back and do the next thing. Yeah, I don't know. That's my personal opinion about it. So I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything, but that's a big topic. I think most of us go through this.
We've all gone through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the one word you said that caught my ear, you said balance. Good luck. I mean, short term.
I preach that balance all the time.
I mean, first off, most of the people that I know that are hyper successful in any business, doesn't matter what it is, they have a period of obsession, and they have a period where they make sacrifices where, all right, you're going to bed now. I need to stay up for an extra hour. I'm getting up earlier. That's just life in business, and it's nothing to do with the voiceover business. I just don't know anybody hyper successful that hasn't had a period where their quote balance is not, maybe what they want, but it's getting to the other side of it that allows you to have a great situation, but it's not going to be easy. If I'm going to put this out there, I'll look at it here. I'll put it up on my on the screen here. Oh, I don't need. I'll put it in the chat. There's a book at the top there called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. There's another book down there by the guy who that I'm Relentless and Winning by Tim Grover, who coached Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and all these other famous people. And they all have the same thing. There's a period of time in their life where these people that are successful are focused at a level that most of us aren't, because there's 400 things we could do with our kids and our dogs and the rest of our life. So you have to find your own path. The path that Anthony took is one, but the story is similar, parallel to his, for people that tend to be successful. They have a period of their life where you are relentlessly focused on a couple things. You end up obsessed, and then you have to find your path through it. What are you going to have to give up? It's not the same for all of us. I love the book 10X by Grant Cardone. I love Relentless by Tim Grover. And those may not be the right ones for you. So I'm not saying, oh, you got to do those. You're going to have to find yours. You're going to have to find, and you're not going to have balance for a period of time. And we stayed up late. Donnie will tell you. We were, 1,000 miles apart, but he was doing the same thing as his mom. And we were like staying up late, and we didn't get a lot of sleep the first couple of years we did Fiverr, because if an order came in at 10 at night, we'd stop. If let's say, oh, we want to Netflix and chill tonight, it's 10 o'clock and beep, an order comes in. What do we do? Crap, turn the thing off. It'll be there tomorrow. And we'd go do a voiceover at 10 o'clock at night, and we would have it out there. And that was not fun at points. Today, I go, shut your phone off. And Lisa will still look at midnight just before we're going to sleep going, is there anything I really need to deal with? And sometimes she'll go, no, I got to go do it now. Okay?
I know people want to talk, but I got to say something, and this is something that is true. No one talks about it because it might be a little taboo to talk about. But, this also is strange. I had a lot of fights with my wife. And it was not because we didn't love each other or whatever, but the reality is there's a lot that goes on, right? And the fights usually revolve around we're not spending time together. And it's a big change. I'm not trying to, and I don't mean it sound like it's be like, oh my God, I don't want to get into voiceover. It's kind of one of those things where it's true. You had to go through there. And quite honestly, I had to prove to these people that I could do it. Because I told them, trust me, give up this time, do this, support them. I asked, my wife was taking care of the kids. I mean, your spouse, whoever they are, they got it. Or you might be a single parent taking care of your own kids. I've worked with a lot of people like that. I mean, my mom was a single parent. I mean, freaking heroes. I mean, but at the end, when you strip back all of that, you know what I mean? I think the reality is it's again, you have to find somewhere where you step out of the pack, begin do the things that no one else will do, because that's, that's saying, right? If you want to be like the 1%, you got to work like the 1%, or you got to live like the one, right? You got to change your lifestyle. Now, how you decide to do it is up to you. There's so many different ways, and it doesn't always have to be that way. Like, I don't stay up. Well, I will tell you this, it changed my life. Maybe not for the better. Like, I did have, this is awful things, but I'm going to tell you, maybe I got a little insomnia. Like, I started getting some things happening to me that are based on this. It was the price I paid, but now it's gotten a lot better. That melatonin helps a lot. There's all kinds of wonderful things that can help you go to bed. Good luck, Jaden. Don't tell your parents that. So anyways, the reality is, we have a young man too. I think Jaden's 16, by the way. Super proud of you, dude, for getting into voiceover. That's awesome. So it's just, these are the things that, no one talks about, because all we hear is all this cool stuff about how fun it is to be successful and you're amazing. But people don't talk about the hell that we went through to get there. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, part of it's cool too, because whereas we put in the effort and we're here. And the cool thing about, the best thing is get a support group. The cool thing is, man, you need support. You need people that have gone through it with you that can say, dude, I totally understand what you're going through, man. Stick it out with us, dude. Tell us what's going on. We'll help you. You need that group. It's hard to do it by yourself. You know what I mean? And I think the best thing that ever happened to me was by chance starting a VO's journey And honestly, it was by chance because I heard this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk said, if you don't know what to do with your marketing, just talk about yourself. So I was like, okay. So I started talking about myself in a podcast. Lo and behold, I know it was going to change my life. And it did because of all of you. I would go nuts if it wasn't for you all because I'm an outgoing person. So I can't just be, and I picked a job where I'm by myself all day and go figure. But that's why I work so well. You know what I mean? So you got to do. So I know I'm going on and on.
No, I think that's great, and I think people really appreciate your transparency, Anthony. To that point, Arthur says, "I have plenty of time, but I spin not knowing where to focus. I'm not an organized boss." He says, "I get obsessed, and I can barely explain what I'm learning or struggling with. My partner is supportive." So that's good, Arthur, that you have a supportive partner. One of the things that somebody told me early on in my business that really helped me and that I still think about is he told me the concept of 4 daily tasks. So he said, you've got all these things that you want to do with your business, all these dreams that you have, these big picture goals and visions, and you get frozen and paralyzed with indecision of, okay, but what do I actually do? And so he said, every day, write down 4 tasks that you're going to do that day, and each of those tasks shouldn't take more than 15 to 20 minutes. We're not talking about massive things like I'm going to build an entire website in one day, or it could be, no, I'm going to record and post 1 sample. That's 1 task. And then I'm going to edit my profile on one of my sites where I have a profile or presence on. That could be another task. 4 daily tasks that take you maybe 15 to 20 minutes each. And if you actually just do that every day, 5, 6, or 7 days a week for a long time, eventually you will get somewhere. Not quickly, but you'll get somewhere, and you'll get somewhere faster and more reliably than the person that just gets super obsessed for 2 weeks and tries and thinks they're going to do it all in 2 weeks and make it that quickly and realize it's a lot harder than that and burn themselves out really fast and quit. So see what you can do every day, maybe 4 little things that you can write out to do every day. And if you're faithful to do them, most of them won't work initially, but getting in that habit will help you get somewhere over time.
I love that, Donnie. That's great. Yep. That is activity. That is consistent activity, no matter how you feel, what you're thinking, what you're going through. It's consistent activity.
Have any of you ever gotten an argument with a spouse or a friend and then had to go be a happy character in a cartoon game? It's very hard. You feel miserable and then you have to be like, hello, welcome. It's not cool. Yep. It is tough. Right. I mean, that's hard. I mean, it's tough, especially when you're exhausted. Now, I remember at 2 a.m. That's why the podcast sounded like I was exhausted because I was like, oh, welcome to the, because it was exhausting. I thought I was lively as all get out, but the reality was I was exhausted. Yeah. So we all go. So good questions. And I think this is important things for us to talk about because this is real life. This is what we really go through on a daily basis.
Yeah. And go ahead, Don.
There are two things. You need to find a group that you can be part of, which makes sense. And the other thing that you can do is you find an accountability partner, just somebody who you're going to check in with 2-3 times a week, and that you're going to talk to about what you plan on doing and what you've done. There's nothing worse than me having to call Donnie up and going, because him and I talked about something on Monday. Okay, by Wednesday, we're going to have X done. And then I have to call Donnie again. Because him and I are accountability partners, and he will call me on, you said you were going to do X, you didn't. And that it's just, it really, really, really helps. Because if I keep it all to myself, great, I missed it and I'm mad at myself. Well, that's not the same as having to call somebody that you know and have him go, well, what did you do or whatever. If you can find somebody, find a group, find somebody that you can talk through that's going through it. 400 times easier, never easy, but easier.
All right, who we got next?
I think
Hoover wants to know how often we will be doing these Q&A thingy deals.
That is a great question, Hoover.
I like it. That's what it is. It's a Q&A thingy deal.
Yes, the Q&A thingy deal. We should call it that too. I think this has been fantastic. This has been great. I think it's been successful. We'll definitely look at, doing this again. I know that. So I don't know when exactly, but
Shouldn't it be 6 days a week?
no.
That's what the
Therapy.
academy is for.
Yes, that's what the academy is for. But we do, you know, there is the wonderful thing about the academy too, is as it's growing, you know, we're taking all sorts of input. I think the other night we had a nice long discussion about, hey, how can we put something together where we could all, you know, where the group people in the academy could get together for like coffee time and just 15, 20 minutes and talk and shoot the breeze, so that, you know, it's not always so darn lonely at, you know, at night or something, just times like that. So we're definitely working together in all sorts of ways, which is what I love about the academy. So good question. Okay, I know we have a couple other people. I know Andy, and then I know we had Chelsea.
Andy and Chelsea. Yeah, so Andy, go ahead, and then we'll wrap up with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Andy, are you still with us? Andy might be gone. All right.
He's still here, but I don't know if he's...
Yeah. Right. Andy, we can't hear you if you're trying to talk. You're still muted.
I don't see him on mute there, Andy.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to Chelsea.
Yeah, so I think this is a good question to wrap up with. Chelsea asked toward the beginning, if you were starting your VO journey over again today from scratch, what is one thing you would change knowing what you know now? And I know Anthony's just been very transparent about some of the struggles that he had early on. I don't know if you change much, Anthony, because you probably feel like you had to go through most of it. But there's is there something you do different?
I guess it's so this is always a question, and I always ask this to the people I interview on my podcast. I think the caveat to the whole thing, right, is do you start out with the knowledge that you have or not? Because if you didn't start out with the knowledge you had, you know, but for that being said, I think one of the biggest things actually that I would have started out that was different than what I did is I underestimated the importance of my equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I really, because, you know, I started a big thing, you know, when I first started, I did what I could do. I had what I could invest, and that was good. But I didn't understand when I first started that my $40 mic could only go so far as a $40 mic could go. So I guess what I'm getting at is I spent hours upon hours trying to figure out how to make myself sound better and sound good and do all this stuff and learn everything I could. And later on, as I realized that the reality is that the equipment that we have is good, but there comes a point where it's only going to do as much as it can do. Your space is only going to sound as good as it's going to sound unless you treat it more. Like, the funny thing is, when I first started, I put my booth right next to a refrigerator that wouldn't stop running all night. And there were times when I would unplug it and forget, and my wife would kill me in the morning, and she should. I would forget to plug the refrigerator back in. I mean, what kind of idiot forgets to plug the refrigerator back in? But I did, because I couldn't record because it was right next to me and it wouldn't shut off because I had a very small house and I couldn't get away from it, right? And I only had, in my booth, my hobo fort, I had one set of blankets. One. By the time I was done, I had about 8 sets of blankets with pillows. I had so much, I mean, you know, like I had to shimmy into my booth because it was so packed full. But I'm telling you, it was so good though, right? It was perfect, but I underdid a lot of things, if that makes sense, because I just didn't know. So like the first thing I do with everybody is I give them the truth. You can start with a $40 microphone. Absolutely. But you're going to get work that's equal to that equipment that you have, and to not beat myself up about it. I beat myself up a lot about it. Like, something's wrong with me. Why don't I sound like, you know, Joe over there, who sounds incredible? When I realized Joe's working with a $10,000 studio and I'm working with, $50. And I think it's me. Why can't I edit better? Why is there all this hissing and these noises? It's my equipment. And it is what it is, you know? So I would be more accepting of where I was, I guess. That's the long story short. I think that was one thing. I probably could tell you 20 different things, but that was the biggest thing. Because as soon as I figured all this out, my life changed. I mean, like, it takes me no time. Some of y'all see the recordings. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't work hard at it, but it takes me very little time to record a voiceover, hit a few buttons that I've spent all these years working on, and then I'm done on to the next one. Whereas I work with people, I think someone put in the chat, God bless them. They said they took 3.5 hour book and it took them 30 hours to complete the 3.5 hour book. God bless them. I remember those days because you got to go through everything manually. RX, my God, I would have, bought that right off the bat, but I had no idea that things like that existed. I thought I just had to manually go through and take out all the clicks one at a time over hours of audio. So I think I probably would have given myself a break, tried to, although I will say this in fairness, there's no way in hell my wife would have let me do that. So, because she was right, because I had done a lot of crazy stuff and screwed up. I mean, and I had to go, I bought the Sennheiser, I bought the 416 without telling her. And I never, because that's like $1,000, right? There's no way in hell she would and I remember telling, and I was like, I'm making enough money. Now we laugh at it. But back then, she told me if I didn't make it in a month, I would have to take back the $40 mic to Best Buy because I was going to be, and she was, and look, why not? He's like, God, he's starting something new again. Okay. But I think I underestimated the realities of what I had and thought it was me when part of it was, but part of it also was just what I had to work with at the moment. So I might not be getting a ton of work, but I'm getting work, which is pretty impressive based on the equipment I have. So I think that's just real. What does everybody else think? That's a good question.
Angela, how about you? I know you've been running businesses for a long time, even before you got into voiceover.
So yeah, I would have sought out that coaching way sooner if I'd had to do over. I spent the first year searching through YouTube, trying to find anything and everything, studying voice actors and anybody that would give me any kind of information. And looking back,
I should have said the academy, shouldn't I? I would have done the academy if I knew.
Looking back, oh my word, it would have saved me so much time just to have the information right there.
Definitely. That's true.
Susan, how about you?
I was really slow to start. I guess if we're all being honest, before I did this full time, I was a preschool teacher. So I didn't make much money at all. So when I surpassed my preschool salary, I was satisfied. I was like, well, I'm making $25,000 a year instead of, 13. Hey man, I'm doing awesome. And so for a number of years, I just was satisfied with not making a whole lot of money, barely even making like 30,000. And I think, I think that if I could have done it over, I would have not put that limit on myself, that I would have been able to just say, I can make however much I want to make, rather than just thinking like, well, I don't have a whole lot of skills and I'm just never made a whole lot of money. And it's an interesting situation to be able to go, and triple that, and to think like, wow, I really have a whole much education and this is what I'm making, and pretty amazing.
Yeah. Cool.
Don, how about you?
The only thing I say, of course, I'm on a different phase because I've been through multiple businesses over my life, and it's always the same thing. Find the people, vet your mentors, find a couple mentors that you can ride on their coattails. We're doing it every week in the academy, but it's the same thing. If you can't afford that, you still have to find mentors. Information is not usable knowledge without having some direction and some people who have been down the path. I can find information. In fact, the great thing about voiceover, go on YouTube and you'll find the exact same subject told from 30 points of view. 29 of them are contradictory. And it amazes me what can be said out there. And people can succeed doing almost anything. So you can succeed. The question is the path I'm on going to get me there in the shortest period of time? You're going to have to make some investment. You're going to find an accountability partner for free. That's cool. Find that. If you can't do the paid things, don't let that get in your way. Find somebody in this group that's on the same path and leverage off of them. but then start seeking out the mentors, and that's why this group exists. And you're here tonight. One of the things that's funny, people that are on these sessions, most of you will succeed because you're investing time and energy to find good information. And then find the people that know and have been down that path. Anthony's telling you now, he was doing it on a $40 mic. If he could do it again, he would do something. Nah, don't go to 1,000 next time, okay? That was your problem. You jumped too far, too fast. You could have gone to a $200 mic, and at that level.
I did, and I hated the way it sounded.
Yeah, but it depends on which one. Who did you ask before you?
Because it was the wrong mic for me. That was another thing, not understanding the equipment. I mean, like, the mic. They're not all, just because a mic is good doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yeah. So get your setup right, but find a mentor. So, and if you can't do any of that stuff, then you better have some audiobooks that you're listening to. I mean, mine's on my phone then, so this isn't an audiobook, by the way. I call these a phone, but it has my audiobooks on there. And so I'm constantly listening to people that are way, 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 way more successful than I am, and looking for the people that have been down the path before. You just have to vet those people and not listen to the guy who's done, two things. Anthony's been through the fire and made mistakes and learned from him. So he's the kind of guy you're always looking for, is somebody who's crashed and burned on some things, learned from that, and then now is being successful at something. Those people are gold. So find your mentors, stick with them. There's just a bunch of great people in this group, and I don't think it's going to stop.
What about you, Donnie?
I resonated a lot with what Susan said when she talked about how she was hardly making any money at her old job, and that was my case too in minor league baseball. Everybody thinks they want to work in pro sports until they actually get to work in pro sports, and they realize that because everybody wants to do it, pro sports teams, especially in the minor leagues, but even you'd be shocked at how little big league teams pay a lot of their front office staffers. If you're not like the big cheese general manager or vice president or something, people make shockingly little money in pro sports because they can find 10,000 other people that'll do it if you don't want to. And you work insane hours and you have no life, basically. Even during the off season when I was working 17-hour days during the season. I'd get to the ballpark at 8 a.m. I'd leave at close to midnight, and then I'd go on the road with the team. I loved the broadcasting part of it. I loved the games, but that was only like 3 hours out of the whole day. The rest of it kind of sucked. And I was making... It took me 8 years to crack like $27K working for that team. Wow. So when I first got on Fiverr, after I moved to Omaha for a very part-time broadcasting job, I knew I was finally going to have time to pursue voiceover, and I started making like $2,500 a month on Fiverr. I was like, this is amazing. I made it because I didn't have to do the office job anymore, and I could go broadcast games freelance at night. I was like, I'm set. This is the life. And so, yeah, it also took me a while to find groups where I learned best practices and how to actually grow and improve my business, and realized that I had a much higher ceiling than I was giving myself credit for in those early days. So, yeah, I think my do-over would be similar to Susan. I didn't realize there was good information and people that knew a lot about how to improve my Fiverr gigs, so I got a lot more business, which I did eventually, but it took me a long time.
I feel like I'm very thankful to the group the groups that I started in, because I think if I had started in other Facebook groups, it's possible none of us would be here. Because, I would have, if I started in a group that was maybe not so nice, as opposed to, groups that were open to things. That's important. So absolutely, the people that you surround yourselves, like I'm so fortunate because I look at the coaches and I think that, I try to pick people who are smarter than me. I mean, everybody that's a coach has succeeded incredibly in multiple areas. You know what I mean? And all I've done, is, succeed here in somewhat in voiceover and try to help people. And I think that that's something too. Surround yourself, just like Don said, with incredible people. And the academy it's amazing, the people we have in the academy. But even in the group, Avio's Journey, the Facebook group is amazing. There's so many amazing people, and we have a good thing going, I think, where we support each other. Mm-hmm. So this is a great question, really great question.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chelsea? Tell us your opinion about how you're starting and like what you got from all that.
I think that was really great, and that was way more than I was expecting. So thank you guys for contributing.
No problem.
I think for me, Angela saying she would have sought out coaching sooner, and I've heard that for the last 9 months since I started my VO journey. This is my first step to getting any coaching. So I'm really excited about what's going to happen next. And I think, Anthony, you talking about the equipment and beating yourself up over where you were at. I do that to myself, and you get that imposter syndrome. But then you realize you kind of are where you are based on your circumstances and what you have actually put out. So I know what I've got to work on moving forward. I have a ton of notes. So thank you guys for today. It's been super fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate spending the time with us. Thank you, coaches, for spending your time, and everybody. This has been wonderful. I will post the video in the group. It's 2 hours, so I think I can post it in Facebook. It's a long one, or I could post a link to. I'll post it on YouTube probably and post the unlisted link, so it'll be unlisted, so you can view it in the group, but not anywhere else. And just to make sure you know that deal will be for 24 hours. Okay. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you. And if you're not, that's okay too. It was great having you tonight, and hopefully this helped out. And I can't wait till we do it again. All right. Well, thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, so much.
Thanks for everything, guys.
Thank you, guys. Take it easy. Good luck.
You guys have a wonderful year.
Thank you.
Indeed. God bless all.
Yep. Bye, everybody.